Hi everyone, my name is Alistair McLean, and this is my first and new YouTube channel called The Sacred Rainbow Warrior. I'm a mentor of the Pure Masculine and the Sacred Brotherhood, and today I'm going to talk about why I've called my channel The Sacred Rainbow Warrior, the prophecy that's attached to that. I'm going to talk to you about the Sacred Brotherhood, the Pure Masculine, and I'm going to talk to you about my recovery from complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic behavior. Right, let's dive in. If you haven't already, if you could please like the video and subscribe to my channel. As I said, this is my first channel, so I really appreciate if you could share this video with anyone you think will like my content. So let's dive into the first topic. So why is my channel called The Sacred Rainbow Warrior? So there is a prophecy, but I'll leave a link in the description. There's many different prophecies that go back as far as the Bible and before, back through the Egyptian times, Lemuria, etc., etc. But the rainbow warrior prophecy is one that is very close to my heart. It's about the reclaiming the rainbow and what the colours of those rainbow mean, and the meaning of the warrior, the sacred warrior. There is a book called the Magician, the Sovereign, the Warrior, and the Lover. I suggest you read that book. It's a great book about the definitions and different archetypes of man and how they express themselves throughout life. And the prophecy is based on the warrior, which is one of the most influential archetypes of man. The warrior represents fighting, the fighting inside and the fighting outside. And you can see when you look through society and mankind itself, war, suffering, narcissism, distorted patriarchy, all these things, these all express themselves through the archetype of man as the warrior. And with the archetype of the warrior comes the sword. And the sword has expressed itself through many different stories, like the sword in the stone with King Arthur, and the representation of what the sword actually means for man, and how that fits into the archetype of the warrior. Now, the actual prophecy itself, which I want to introduce straight away because it's really important, is it was first given as a prophecy by the native tribes, particularly the Hopi tribe, in the native lands of North America. And essentially what they predicted, they were going through the battle of the white people invading their land and taking over their land. And so they went to their spirit guides to ask for help. And different tribes all over the country got different versions of a similar prophecy. And it was the prophecy of what would happen to them in their land, how they would be raped and pillaged, their religions would be stolen, their way of living would be stolen, everything would be destroyed. But they spoke of hope in the future. And this is where it gets interesting, because I'm a white man, I'm a white guy, and I'm obviously not Native American by looking at me, but the prophecy states that in the future, the rainbow warriors will come from Europe. And the prophecy states that there would be several warning signs for the whole world. And if these warning signs were not paid attention to, then the prophecy would come to fruition. Now, the beginning of the prophecy states in many of the different types of prophecies, as I said, there's several prophecies in the Bible and other religions, but they all state of 5 civilizations, and the fall of 4 of them, and the 5th one being the final successful civilization. First one was Lemuria, then it was Atlantis, then it was Egypt, and then Avalon. And so we are the 5th civilization, and the prophecy was that if we made it past 2012, which I'm sure you've seen the disaster movies and everything that prophesies the end of the world, then the fifth civilization would make it through the destruction. Now, the word apocalypse is always shown through prophecy, is always prophesizing the end of the world. Now, what that often means, it doesn't mean the end of the world as in we're all going to die, because in Latin, apocalypse actually means lifting of the veil. Now, lifting of the veil actually means to lift away the lies. And this has shown itself throughout stories and movies in humanity. A great example is the Matrix movie, which is essentially a documentary. And the lifting of the veil, you could say, is when he leaves the Matrix and he's picked out of the water by the giant claw. And he wakes up and he's in complete shock because he's seen through the lie. This is the lifting of the veil. This is the true apocalypse. And this is what's coming. And the reason I'm able to talk about this is I've been through a really, really tough journey from a very young age of deep, deep trauma. And I was lost for a very long time. I was lost in the society of deep, dark, toxic masculinity. Like a lot of men are, the toxic masculinity that powers are the distortions of patriarchy, the distortions against feminine, and how the distortions of the masculine filter into the feminine, and this creates distortions in the feminine. And so I hit rock bottom many, many different times. I went through all of the suffering that most people do. I suffered a lot of physical violence from a very young age, a lot of emotional abuse and trauma. And when I came to my 20s, I attended university, and in my first year of university, I had a horrific accident which changed my life. And it was a severe head injury, which I'll go into in later videos. And then 2 years later, I had another severe traumatic episode where I nearly lost my leg. And when I had this severe head injury, this violent attack, it completely changed my psychological makeup. And I thought I was going to go crazy. I was suffering night terrors every night and all these different symptoms. And I went through life living like that for nearly 20 years. I didn't know what to do. I was lost, completely lost. I had no aspirations. I had no idea how to create my life. I had no idea how to look after myself. I had no idea how to survive. And so I went on a journey of survival, like a lot of men who experience trauma do. And throughout my survival, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And this is an embodiment, a metaphor for the sacred warrior. The warrior is about giving up. I will go into that in more detail, because what does it mean to be a warrior? And from my story, as I said, I just kept on going. I didn't know what was powering me, but I just didn't want to give up. There were many times when I did just want to pull the plug. And I'll go into more detail in that, and how that manifested itself in my life, and all the and how that manifested in all of us. But I wanted to touch on how I got to the point of making this channel, just as an overall general overview of this channel, so you know that what's coming. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a container of beginning to end, and this channel is going to be there, all the gold that's in between and all the gold that's going to come. So I got a job. I fell into a job into finance, like everybody does. I joined a rat race. I didn't know what else to do. I needed money. I needed to survive. And I went through a lot of further abuse through my career from my caregivers and bosses, managers, friends, you name it. Everybody wanted a piece of me. And I just kept taking it and taking it and taking it and taking it. And the more I took it, the more closed I became, and the more disassociated I came from my heart. And to jump forward a bit, I met a woman, I fell in love, and what I thought was love. And she was like a ticket out of my hometown. And I moved to London, and that was a big, giant step for me. I moved without a job, and eventually I found a job, and I got this job at this big bank. They really looked after me, and part of the package when I joined the bank was free healthcare. And I was like, wow, free healthcare, this is great. Pension and everything, I never had that before, and it was a really a unique selling point for me. And part of the healthcare was a 360-degree health checkup, and it was free. So in my first month there, I thought I'm taking advantage of this straight away because I want to know what's wrong with me. And so I went to the checkup, checked my physical health, everything was fine. Then they put me in front of the doctor, and he said, how's your life? And I just unloaded on him. I said, my life is awful. I feel nothing. I go through every day wondering why I'm still alive. And he said, oh, okay, I can refer you to someone because I think I know what's wrong with you. And I said, okay. And so a week later, I'm sat in front of this guy in his mid-40s, and he sits me in a chair. He sits in a chair, he's got a clipboard, and he goes, tell me about your life. And so I tell him about my life. And I tell him about my fears and everything. And then I finish my story, and he goes, okay, great, that's all I need. He goes, I know what's wrong with you. I was like, okay. He goes, I'm going to diagnose you. I go, okay. I'm going to diagnose you with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I was like, okay. And he said, the reason I'm going to do that is you said something very unique when you were telling your story. You said that when you have a shower, that's when you're most frightened. I was like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay. And he goes, that's a sign for deep trauma. Because what happens when you're stood in the shower, the water surrounds you and it blocks out the noise around you. So you lose awareness. And because you've lost awareness, because you're always on guard, you feel scared. So the sound of water blocks out your awareness. And so he caught onto that. And so that would be a classic example of post-traumatic stress disorder. But the complex comes from the multiple different events of abuse that happened throughout my life from the age of 6. So I could list a few of them. Having bleach thrown in my face at the age of 6. Being hit over the head with a baseball bat at the age of 17. I'm skipping a load of violence abuse because it's personal, and I wouldn't want to share that right away. Having my head dropped on a pavement and my head used as a football. Having my leg cut open and nearly bleeding to death. I lost 4 pints of blood. I was on crutches for 4 months. These are just some of the major events in my life which created this deep trauma. And so it was kind of a relief, someone saying, yeah, you've got something wrong with you. Because I spent my whole life going, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And nobody would tell me. Everybody was just rude to me, because I was exhibiting the behaviors that everyone who experiences trauma go through. I wasn't a great person by any means. I was experiencing and embodying toxic masculinity on every level because I was just absorbing and copying the men around me. And you know what they say, you are who you surround yourself with. And because I was learning through what was around me, because I couldn't remember who I was attracting some bad company. And so this journey, this big diagnose gave me a real sense of relief, because I felt like I was continually just taking one step in front of the other, and just really trying to figure out what was going on. Just life didn't make sense to me. And I started to realize I had mental health issues. And to me, the word mental, when you say mental health, it means it's in the mind. And this took me on a journey of taking that apart, because it's not in the mind. It's not. It's in the body. And this is where everybody falls short. And I'm going to go into a lot of detail of how the mind links with the body, and it's really huge. It's really big. But I just wanted to continue. So after I got diagnosed with CPTSD, he referred me to my own psychotherapist, and I went on a journey of going through therapy. And because it was the first time someone had diagnosed me, I went diving in head first, like research, reading all the books, watching videos, listening to podcasts, really just absorbing everything. It was like I came alive because all of a sudden I had purpose. And I didn't give up, and I went forward and forward and forward with this. And it was never enough for me. I had so much therapy, and I just kept getting, deeper and deeper and deeper. But I even come to a dead end with the therapy. Where do you go after a therapy, right? You're just not going deep enough, or the therapist is holding back. And so I kept diving deeper. I got a career coach. I got a life coach. I started doing martial arts. I started doing meditation. I started doing new eating, started doing biohacking, you name it, I did it. Pilates, Tai Chi, Qigong, you name it, swimming, anything that made, that everyone said that made you feel better. I even tried drugs. My crutch for many years was alcohol. And when I moved up to London, there's street drugs everywhere. I tried, cocaine, MDMA, marijuana, and all of these things were really made it 10 times worse, especially alcohol. Alcohol is the worst. It took me a very long time to overcome that addiction, and the process which I've been through is so deep, and I really want to share my story to help everyone, not just men, but women as well, and everyone in between. Because what I've discovered on my journey has exposed all the lies in which we live in. And it's very difficult for me to come out and say this, because I've been hiding. I've been hiding in plain sight. But now it's time. I'm ready. It's time for me to come out, share my wisdom to help everyone. And I wanted to just finish by giving you the end, which is the beginning of my story. So after I started to hit a brick wall of development through therapy and all these other health exercises, what else was there? Wow. I was led to plant medicine. And I'm sure you'll understand, I'm sure you have a lot of judgments around plant medicine, because I do as well. And I did what everybody does who first jumps into plant medicine. I took ayahuasca, I went to the jungle, and I learned a lot. And I also learned that it's not the medicine for me. And so I found a different medicine. And this medicine journey took me on a shamanic journey, something I did not ask for, a deep shamanic journey. And it took me into a journey with the ego and purification of that ego. Now, people call it shadow work. That doesn't do it justice, because it doesn't just live in the shadow. it lives in the light, and it lives in all the colours in between. Now, myself and my partner Hazel, who's also creating a channel to share her wisdom of the feminine through her journey, which is a mirror of mine in some ways. The journey which I've learned about the purification, it's not called shadow work. It's purification. And it's purification not through the mind. It's purification through the body and the soul, through the heart. And it has to be done through the heart. Now, I never used to believe in any of this. You know, I was baptized when I was 1 year old, and I went to a Catholic school, you know, and then I became atheist, agnostic, all these pigeonholes, you know, being pigeonholed, saying I had CPTSD, it's another pigeonhole, you've been put in a box. I had to break throughout all of these boxes. It was very, very difficult, and I went deep, deep, deep. I always said yes, 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 yes. Do you want to see your darkest parts of your soul? Yes, I do. Every single time. And I came face to face with my demons, literally, many times. There's not just one demon in us, there's many, but there is one big one, and that's very advanced work. So I dove into the black, I dove into the white, then I dove into all the colours in between. And I learned the truth of everything, the truth of enslavement, of us inside and out. I learned about the different levels of consciousness and how they work and how they create the world around us. But most of all, I learned about love and what it means, what it truly means. And I learned about healing and what that truly means, to heal yourself. And so my journey is about the embodiment of the sacred rainbow warrior prophecy. It talks about 3 rumblings. The first rumbling was the First World War. The second rumbling was the Second World War. Now, I've been given information from my spiritual guides. I don't say that lightly. Like I said, I never used to believe in any of this. And I'm not stupid, I'm not gullible. I opened my heart, I opened my consciousness to see what was out there. And I've learned so much. And I have gone through a deep purification process of truth and understanding what it means to speak the truth. And you cannot speak the truth until you have been through a purification process. So I understand that some of the stuff I will be saying on my channel is difficult to believe, but I can assure you it is the purest of truth. And I've been given permission to share some of this. So I want to touch on the fact that in the prophecy, it talks about the 3rd rumbling. And I will put a link in my description to this video. And I want to let you know that the rumbling is coming. And the rumbling is an expression of purification. Now, we work on 3 lines of consciousness. There's line 1, which is me, I, my. Line 2, which is we, me and my partner. And line 3, which is us, the collective, the universe, the planet, the public, society, everyone. Now, I've been through a process of healing the deepest of wounds of man, and my partner has been on a journey with me on the deepest wounds of women. And the men and women mirror each other in their wounding. They're slightly different, but we mirror each other. And the deepest wound, believe it or not, is the one that everybody avoids, especially the spiritual community. The spiritual bypass, which I will be doing a video upon. The spiritual bypass is about working from the heart upwards, love and light, but not going down. Now, the top 3 chakras, I'm talking about chakras now. I know that's difficult for some people to believe and understand because they can't see them. They're not personified or evidenced by science, because science doesn't believe in something until it's proven it. Well, I choose to believe in something before it's been proven because I can feel it. The upper heart, the throat, the third eye and the crown, these are the soul chakras. The lower heart, the solar plexus, the sacral and the root are the chakras of the body. These two have to become one in order for you to embody your soul and to feel safe and be in life. Can you remember the last time you felt safe? The last time you felt healthy? I can. I was 4 or 5 years old. I used to sit out in the garden, play with the insects. I want that back. And that was my journey. That's what I asked for. I want my innocence back. So I went on a journey of purification to get my innocence back. And I'm here to tell you that it's possible. It's possible to get that back. But it's not easy. The deepest wound is in the red. And you won't feel this or understand this because it's too big. It took me 3 years of deep medicine work to understand that the deepest wound for everyone is the abandonment wound. On the one, that works being abandoned by yourself, being abandoned by your mother from birth. On the 2, it may be being abandoned by a partner. On the 3, it means being abandoned by God, being abandoned by your true mother, the earth. And this wound is so painful. It's got so much darkness around it. And I don't mean the good kind, because there is the purity of dark and there is purity of light. But it is such a deep wound. Now, why am I talking to you about this? Because it's linked to the third rumbling, the root chakra, the original sin, which I will talk about in different videos. The original sin. What is the original sin? I'll just touch on it and say it's to do with the metaphorical story of Adam and Eve. The original sin, the red and the green, the red apple and the green apple. It's about enslavement, abandonment and rape. And the root chakra is being exposed in all of us, and it's terrifying. Now, the root chakra is it the root of the body, but as I said, for the 1, it's also expressed in the 2 and the 3. So everything that happens in our bodies happens in the 2 and the 3, and everything that happens in the 3 happens in the 2 and the 1, vice versa. Now, we have been cleaning, me and my partner, we've been going into the red and cleaning the red. So what do you think that means? That means it goes out into the 3, the 2 and the 3. Now, Gaia, the planet, our Mother Earth, she has chakras. Now, in the prophecy, when you listen to it, you'll understand that the country, it says the country that drops the ashes, they call them. So that is a metaphor for the atomic bomb back in 1945, are the ones that will suffer the most. And where is the root chakra of the planet? You guessed it, it's in North America. And this has expressed itself through the rape of the natives, that America seemed to celebrate for Thanksgiving. And this expresses itself in the American society. It's why there's so much gun violence, because there's a perpetual avoidance of not owning up to the rape of the land and the people. And because it hasn't been healed, it's coming through the 5th dimensional awakening of the shaking of the planet. And that shaking will originate in the root chakra. Now, I know that sounds terrifying, but what's going to happen is it's going to release the old way. What do I mean by the old way? The old way is suffering. The suffering, the enslavement of mankind. It's hard to believe, I know. But the new way has been created and it's coming. And my partner and I are creating a bridge for that, to deliver this message. Now, the prophecy states that there'll be a third rumbling and the whole world will shake. This is true. This doesn't mean that the earth will open everywhere, but it does mean that we will all feel it and we will all come together in unification. Now, when the earth does open, and it will open, it's already started. It started years ago. That's why there's been so many earthquakes, like in Turkey and South America and everywhere. I got prophetic visions of this in 2019, and I've got prophetic visions last year of what's to come after that. And I can tell you what's coming after that is beyond your imagining, and it's beautiful. The energy that comes from the opening of the root chakra helps as a springboard for Mother Earth to go from the 4th dimension into the 5th dimension. This is what the spiritual community has been talking about since the 1950s. But it started in 1920 in the great conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, the age of Aquarius. It's coming, believe it or not. And I am here to say that I am your guide and mentor. I am here to help those who will listen to pull us through the darkness and to help you know when it's going to come. And it is coming. So that's all I have to say for today, which is quite an opening message for a new channel. So I would love if you could share my message. I would love if you could like and subscribe to my channel. And just know that I've got a lot to share. As I said, I've been hiding. I've got a lot to share about the grounded vision of healing, not just the big stuff, but the grounded stuff about healing narcissism. We're told that you can't heal narcissism. I was told that you can't heal post-traumatic stress disorder. That's not true. So, whether you choose to believe it or not, know that it's coming. Know that I said it. And know that I will be here. And know that I'm going to put out some incredible videos. So please, like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for listening.